A lone P-38 slices through the morning sky, engine screaming, when 22 German fighters rise to tear it apart. One pilot, no backup, no escape. What happened next became one of the most unbelievable dogfights of the war. A showdown so impossible the Luftwaffe gave his aircraft a name whispered in fear. September 12, 1944. Over the Moselle River, France. 9 a.m. The sun isn't fully up yet, but Lieutenant William Bill Murphy is already staring at a sky that feels wrong. His P-38 shivers in thin morning air while the ground below flashes with the last sparks of German flak. He tastes metal on his tongue, the kind that shows up right before fear sets in. He wipes his glove across his cheek. Sweat has already soaked through. He's alone. He wasn't supposed to be. His flight broke apart in cloud minutes earlier, scattered by a wall of unexpected weather. He climbs through a thinning veil of mist, hoping to find the others. Nothing ahead but pale sky. Nothing behind but drifting vapor twisting off his twin tails. The radio crackles. Silence. Just the steady hum of both Allisons pulling him forward. A warning pings inside him. Something off to his right. The kind of shift a pilot notices before he sees anything at all. Then he sees it. A single black dot rising from the east. Then another behind it. Then more. A whole uneven string of them, spreading like a fan. His gut tightens. He blinks once. They aren't shadows. They're fighters. A lot of them. 20. Maybe more. He forces his breathing steady. He always imagined a one versus many fight would trigger panic. Instead, everything slows. Details sharpen. His hands settle on the yoke like they've done this 1,000 times. The P-38 feels alive under him, as if the machine senses what is coming. Microhook moment. Something he notices. Every one of those German fighters is already diving toward him. He pushes the throttles forward. The lightning surges. He knows the Germans fear this plane. Fork-tailed devil. They whisper it, spit it, complain about its climb. But fear doesn't matter when 20 fighters have altitude and the hunt is theirs. They want blood. He feels it. He angles toward a slash of broken cloud. Not to hide. To force the enemy to break formation. To split their approach. Simple math. A single mistake from him today is death. But one mistake from them might buy him seconds, and seconds can rewrite a story. The first burst of gunfire tears past his left wingtip. Yellow tracers streak upward. Another burst snaps across his nose. He rolls, dives, and pulls the P-38 into a hard turn that drags his stomach into his boots. Black smoke trails below as he cuts through the last edge of cloud cover. A moment of silence. A moment where he can hear only the engines. Then they appear again. Multiple silhouettes fanning out behind him. Messerschmitts. Late model 109s. Sleek. Sharp. Fast. He knows their limits. Knows they outturn the lightning in a tight circle. But he also knows something else. At high speed, the P-38 stays steady while the 109s begin to tremble. He can use that. He dives. The ground rushes up at him. Trees blur together into a single smear of dark green. He keeps the dive shallow, just enough to build speed without trapping himself. The airframe rattles. His visor shakes. His heartbeat doesn't. A cannon round slices open the air inches above his canopy. A near-kill shot. The Germans press hard, committed. He pulls back on the yoke just enough to level out. The lightning screams along the treetops, shaving the surface of the forest. Another hook. 2 109s overshoot. Too fast. Too low. They pull up late, engines howling, and drift wide in his peripheral vision. They didn't expect him to stay level at this speed. He makes his move. He yanks the P-38 up and left, a slashing climb that forces the wings to groan. The 109s scramble to follow, but lose their angle. He slips behind the nearest one, the pilot unaware for a heartbeat too long. He fires. The Lightning's guns punch out a clean, centered burst. The 20mm shell finds the tail root. Metal shatters into a fireball. The Messerschmitt drops like a dead bird into the trees. One down. He feels nothing. No triumph. Just a flicker of survival. But the others are already on him. He sees 4 dropping in from above. Another two sweeping from the side. They're layering their angles, tightening the noose. He climbs again, straight into the sun. Not to escape, to blind them. The glare turns the world white. He squints, guiding the lightning through rising heat turbulence. He knows the Germans will hesitate. Just 1 second, maybe 2. A wild thought passes through him. If anyone else saw this, they'd think he was suicidal. No time to doubt. He kicks the rudder and drops the nose, flipping the P-38 into a descending spiral. The world becomes motion. Air, sky, glare. He slips between the attackers like a fish between rocks. 2 wagons of gunfire cross where he was a half-second earlier. One German shoots another by accident. A 109 slices sideways, trailing smoke. The spiral tightens. His ribs ache from the pull. Sweat runs into his eyes. He cuts out the spin and levels. His vision steadies enough to notice a lonely shape ahead. Another 109 trying to cut him off early, thinking he'd run straight. The German dives toward him, guns lighting. Bill banks right, letting the round streak past. He answers with a sharp burst. The German jukes hard and survives, peeling away at the last moment. Close, but not clean. More fighters arrive. They spread around him in a crude orbit. He can sense the shift in their tactic. They're no longer attacking in loose groups. Now they move as one, coordinated, intent on choking him out of the sky. Another hook. He spots a weakness. A single 109 slipping low to mark his altitude for the others. If he lets that pilot track him, the whole pack will box him in. He dives at the marker. The German tries to roll away, but he's already too late. Bill locks him in the sight. Another short burst. The canopy of the 109 pops open as the plane rolls and plummets. 2 down, but now the others know his position. They descend in a tightening spiral. The sky becomes a funnel of death. Bill climbs again with everything he has. The lightning vibrates near stall territory at the top, just before the engines bite the air again. He flips over in a high Immelman turn. The pack races upward. He drops behind the lead pair. He fires too soon. Tracers miss by inches. The Germans scatter. He lost the kill shot, but gained something more important. Altitude. Space. A second to think. He breathes once. Just once. The radio crackles again. Still nothing. He's alone in every sense. But there's no time to feel it. The next wave dives in a screaming arc. He pushes the throttles. The P-38 leaps forward. Another hook. Something glints high above the fight. A second group of 109s arriving. Reinforcements. The fight is about to double. For the first time, a chill runs down his back. He whispers to himself, "Stay alive for 1 more minute." He dives into a thin corridor of cloud, the kind no pilot trusts but every pilot uses when the world closes in. He disappears inside, engines roaring, vision flickering between gray and darker gray. He's not hiding. He's repositioning. He knows the Germans call his plane the fork-tailed devil. Today, with 20 fighters hunting him, he needs to live up to the name. The cloud swallows him whole. A gray cocoon. No horizon. No sky. No sense of up or down. Just moisture sliding across the canopy and the hiss of wind squeezing around the twin booms. Bill keeps the lightning steady, but the instruments jitter. The needles shake like they might snap. The air inside the cockpit feels too warm, too thin. For a moment, he hears only the engines. Then he hears what he feared. Rounds stitching the cloud behind him. One burst, then another. The Germans followed him in, hunting by sound alone. He angles slightly left, then right, letting the lightning drift across the edge of the cloud bank. The engines echo differently in here. He prays the enemy misjudges distance. A hook hits him. A sudden shadow flickers through the mist ahead. He instinctively yanks back on the yoke. The silhouette slices under him, a 109 flashing by in a blur of gray and metal. It disappears as quickly as it appeared. The thunder of its engine trails behind like a ghost. He pushes the throttles again. He needs speed, needs altitude, needs anything that gives him control of the next second. The cloud thins. A faint glow appears ahead. He breaks through the top in a burst of sunlight. For a heartbeat, he can see the world again. Below him, the cloud stretches like a pale sea. Above, the sky opens clean and blue. But the reprieve ends almost instantly. His ears catch the slicing whine of fighters climbing hard toward him. The first group explodes up through the cloud like sharks breaking water. They found him. He rolls left and dives back down, not into the cloud, but along the boundary where the mist breaks into pockets. The P-38 schemes the top layer, leaving wisps swirling around the wingtips. The Germans follow in a line, each pilot pushing the limit. A quick glance over his shoulder shows at least 10 still with him. More shadows rise behind them. He can't count anymore. He feels the urgency tightening in his chest. He won't survive staying defensive. He banks sharply and drops into a narrow gap in the cloud layer. The corridor is barely wide enough for a fighter. Moisture streaks along the canopy like rain in a storm. His hands tighten. The P-38 vibrates as the air compresses around the tight space. A second hook hits him. One of the 109s tries to slip into the same gap. A flash of yellow nose paint appears behind him. Too close. The German fires blind. Tracers carve orange lines through the mist. One round slams into Bill's left boom. The P-38 shudders. He checks the panel. Temperatures hold steady. Controls still responsive. He's lucky. That shot could have taken a tail. He pushes deeper into the corridor. The air pressure fights him. The Germans can't follow as cleanly. The one behind struggles to hold position. Bill pulls the yoke back and snaps the lightning upward out of the cloud in a tight climbing arc. The German bursts from the cloud a second later, straight into Bill's guns. A short burst. Clean. Centered. The 109 erupts in a flame and drops back into the cloud where the fire is swallowed instantly. 3 down. But he doesn't feel safer. He feels the opposite. The fight is growing teeth. The Germans aren't reckless anymore. They're adjusting, learning his patterns, tightening coordination. The next wave climbs toward him in a disciplined wedge. He angles towards sunlight, letting it cut across his canopy. The bright glare forces him to squint. It also forces the Germans to shoot blind against a backlit target. That buys him seconds. Seconds matter. He levels out and pushes the throttles until the engines strain. The lightning surges forward. Air races across the wings. He aims for a thin bank of distant cloud, not for cover, but to force the 109s to spread apart as they chase. The wedge splits. Half go high, half go low. They lose spacing. A moment to strike. He snaps right, dropping into a steep dive. The sun stays behind him, turning him into a dark silhouette impossible to track clearly. The climb-dive sequence throws off the lead pair. They overshoot low. He angles at the third fighter in the formation. The German tries a barrel roll away, but exposes his right side. Bill lines him up. Fires. The burst shreds the wing root. The 109 rolls into a smoking spin. 4. He keeps diving until the airframe begins to rattle. The sound vibrates through the pedals. He pulls up slowly, careful not to overstrain the booms. The lightning arcs low over the cloud surface and then climbs sharply again. He's burning fuel faster than planned. He knows that without looking. His legs feel how the engines drink. Another hook. A glint far north. A group he thought he shook off is re-entering the fight. He doesn't have 20 enemies anymore. He might have more. He climbs higher. The air grows thin. The engines strain, but this altitude favors him more than them. The 109s lose a bit of bite up here. The P-38 holds its authority longer before buffeting begins. The Germans close anyway. The first pair dive at him from opposite angles. Almost perfect timing. He banks left to avoid the first and pulls down slightly to dodge the second. Tracers pass over him like a spray of needles. He flips into a high G turn that makes the cockpit feel like it's crushing him. His ribs throb. His breathing tightens. He slips behind one of the attackers for half a second. Too fast for a clean shot. But half a second is enough to fire a short burst. The rounds miss the fuselage but punch through the tail. The German jinks violently and loses control. The 109 enters a flat spin and vanishes behind a cloud sheet. 5. He doesn't track the fall. He angles upward again, but the lightning's climb is slower now. Damage from earlier is catching up. He can feel a slight drag on the left boom. He compensates with pedal pressure. Another shadow passes overhead. A 109 dives right in front of him. The German overshoots his mark, trying to predict Bill's climb. He's too soon. Bill rolls right and ends up behind him in the perfect pocket. He fires. The guns shake the nose. The shells chew through the engine cowling. Oil sprays across the German canopy. The fighter bursts into smoke. 6. He still doesn't feel any sense of winning. The sky around him is too full, too loud, too deadly. Every second is a borrowed heartbeat. The German tactics keep shifting. They rotate pairs, forcing him to react to constant angles. They pressure him from above, while others try to sneak low. He senses another threat, a whine on the edge of hearing. He rolls left just before a burst of cannon fire shreds the space he occupied a blink earlier. He drops into a shallow dive, then flattens out. His eyes sweep the horizon. He's looking for something, anything, a weakness, a hole in the formation. He finds one. A 109 is climbing late, trying to join the next attack wave. The timing is sloppy. The angle is off. If Bill hits him now, he could disrupt their rotation rhythm. He pushes the throttles and angles in. The German spots him and panics. He rolls too hard, stalls slightly, and loses altitude in a wobble. Bill gets in close, too close, and fires a concentrated burst. The 109 snaps apart in midair. 7. But the moment he takes the kill, he hears an engine roaring above him. He looks up and sees two fighters dropping in with perfect advantage. He has no time to climb, no time to run, no time for anything except one desperate decision. He dives straight into the cloud sea. The air becomes gray again, silent, thick, blinding. He has seconds before the next wave crashes in behind him. He whispers one thought to himself. The cloud closes around Bill like a coffin. The cockpit dims. The world shrinks to the glow of the instruments and the thump of his heartbeat. He can't see his wingtips. He can barely see the nose. Moisture rolls across the canopy in restless streaks as the lightning dives deeper into the gray. Behind him, the Germans follow. Their engines roar somewhere in the blind haze. One comes too close. The sound warps, echoing off the cloud walls. He cuts power for a second, letting the chasing fighter overshoot. A shape flashes past his right window, no more than a dark smear. If the German had fired, it would have cut the cockpit in half. He pushes the throttles again. The P-38 surges downward. The cloud thickens. He keeps the dive shallow enough to avoid losing control, but steep enough to steal distance. The altimeter unwinds too fast. He levels out just before the numbers reach danger range. A hook cuts into his mind. A faint flicker of light ahead, an opening. He banks toward it. The brightness grows, spreading through the mist. The cloud thins. Sunlight breaks across the canopy in a sudden burst. He rips out the other side into open air. The sky is brutally bright. He blinks hard, trying to clear the spots dancing across his vision. The lightning steadies. His breathing slows for half a second. Then cannon shells streak past his canopy. The Germans erupt from the cloud behind him. They spill out in scattered groups, strung out by the dive. For the first time since the fight began, he has spacing. He has angles. He has a chance. He climbs gently to draw the fastest ones upward, away from the others. The first pair bite the bait. They chase him into thin air where their engines begin to strain. He watches their propellers shimmer. Their noses begin to wobble. He turns hard right. The G-force hits him like a punch. His ribs ache. His vision darkens at the edges. But the lightning holds. He drops behind one of the 109s in a clean arc. The German levels out just in time to realize he's being hunted. Bill fires. The rounds march across the fuselage. The 109 jerks sideways. A wing snaps loose in a stream of fuel and smoke. 8. He turns toward the second fighter. The German flees upward, stalling himself to escape. Bill could chase, but he knows better. He angles down instead, heading for the scattered groups, regrouping below. The fight isn't won by chasing a single survivor. It's won by staying alive. Another hook. A fresh group of 109s rising from the east. He doesn't know if they're part of the original count or reinforcements. It doesn't matter. They all want him dead. He drops low over the cloud layer again, forcing them to fight on his terms. The lightning schemes the boundary, leaving a wake of swirling white vapor behind each boom. The newcomers dive fast. Too fast. One overshoots entirely, screaming past his nose. Bill rolls and follows, locking on before the German can climb again. He fires a short, controlled burst. The 109 coughs, smoke, and spirals away. 9. But another dives straight at him from above. He sees the flash of guns too late. Tracers streak past the canopy. One round clips his right boom. The lightning jerks. The pedal pressure shifts under his boot. He steadies it. The engine readings stay stable. He can still fly, but the damage adds drag. Every maneuver will cost more effort now. He dives into the cloud again, using the same trick he did before. But this time he doesn't stay inside. He slips through the top in a shallow arc, appearing on the opposite side of the cloud bank from where the Germans expect. They lose him for 3 seconds. 3 seconds is enough. He loops up and around the edge of the cloud, cutting behind a cluster of 3 fighters that search blindly for a target they think is still inside. He levels out behind them. They fly in a tight V, unaware. He lines up the center aircraft. Fires. The burst rips through the canopy. The pilot slumps. The fighter sinks. 10. The formation breaks apart instantly. The 2 surviving 109s peel opposite directions, both turning wide in panic. Bill chooses the left one. The German tries to dive away. Bill stays behind him, not too close, not too far, letting the lightning stability at high speed do the work. He fires. The rounds stitch across the tail. The fighter jerks and falls into the cloud below, with a trail of smoke marking its descent. 11. He doesn't follow the drop. He banks upward, scanning the sky. The pack is scattered for the moment, disorganized by altitude, cloud, and fear. But they're not gone. They're regrouping. He can feel the shift in the air, like a storm gathering shape. A hook hits him again. His fuel gauge. He's running low. His throat tightens. He can't outfight the entire sky forever. He needs a way out. But the Germans aren't giving him one. They circle at a distance now, learning from every mistake, closing without rushing. They're hunting smarter. He levels off and breathes once. He checks his heading. If he keeps moving west, he might reach friendly territory. But to get there, he has to break this circle. He has to punch through. The Germans begin to close. Slowly, methodically, he feels the moment tightening around him. He pushes the throttles forward. The lightning responds with a deep, rising roar. He aims west. He commits. Behind him, the sky erupts as the Germans chase once more. He doesn't know if he can hold them off. He only knows he has one last stretch of fuel and one last chance to break free. Bill pushes the throttles until the levers can't move any farther. The lightning trembles from the strain. The engines howl like they're tearing themselves apart. The horizon ahead is a thin blue line. West. Safety. Home. If he can reach it. But the Germans close behind him. Their engines rise into a single hungry roar, a sound that grows wider and louder until it fills the sky. He glances back. For fighters in tight formation, more trailing behind them. Their wings flash in the sun as they gain altitude and angle for a kill. He drops lower, skimming the last wisps of cloud. The air thickens around the wings. The P-38 grips the sky, but his fuel gauge is sinking toward empty. Each second feels like counting down the last beats of his heart. A hook cuts his thoughts. One of the Germans breaks formation and dives early to cut him off. The pilot is skilled, confident. He knows Bill has limited room to maneuver. He's gambling on forcing the fight down low, where a single mistake means hitting the ground. Bill sees the move, feels the trap closing. He answers with speed. He drops even lower, almost brushing the cloud tops, then jinks right just as the German dives. The 109 overshoots by inches, flashing past in a streak of silver. Bill rolls and plunges after him. The 109 pulls up hard. Bill stays close. His sights flicker over the enemy's tail for a split second. He fires a short burst. Rounds punch through metal. The fighter jerks upward, trailing smoke. 12. He climbs out of the kill, but the moment he does, another burst of gunfire tears across his path. Two more 109s slash in from behind, forcing him into a steep, evasive dive. Tracers shred the air where he was half a heartbeat ago. The lightning rattles. His arms shake from holding the turn. The pedals groan under his boots. He keeps the dive shallow enough to avoid blacking out, but the strain builds behind his eyes. He pulls up sharply and angles toward a thin gap between two drifting cloud banks. It isn't cover. It's a choke point, a place the Germans must squeeze through to keep on him. He can use that. He races into the gap. The first German follows cleanly. The second comes in a hair too fast and clips the edge of the cloud, losing visibility for a moment. That small stutter forces the whole line to stagger. Bill rolls out of the gap and climbs. The single German closest to him rises right into his gun sight. He fires. A tight burst. Controlled. Perfect. The 109 bursts into flames and falls away. 13. But the victory costs him speed, and speed is life. The remaining fighters close the distance. Their shadows grow across his canopy. Their guns light again. He feels the heat of tracers slicing past his cheek through the glass. His fuel light flickers. Another hook hits him. A faint shape ahead. Low. Fast. Friendly. Two P-47s sweeping east, unaware of the chaos behind him. He doesn't have radio contact, but he doesn't need it. He angles toward them, dragging the Germans into their path like bait. The P-47s spot the movement immediately. Their formation shifts. Their noses dip. Bill can feel hope rise for the first time in the entire fight. He holds his heading. The Germans commit to their dive, guns blazing. They sense their window closing. They want to finish him before the thunderbolts reach firing distance. One German gets close enough for Bill to see the pilot's goggles. The 109 pulls into a firing line. Bill jerks his lightning sideways, skimming the edge of a stall. Tracers streak past. One strikes his right engine cowling. Smoke trails behind him. The engine sputters. He keeps flying. The P-47s break formation and dive in like a hammer. Their 8 gun wings open up in a fury. The sky explodes with fire and debris. 2 of the Germans peel away instantly. One takes a direct hit and shatters midair. The last tries to climb out, but the thunderbolts chase him down into the clouds. Silence falls around Bill. Not real silence. The engines rumble. The wind pushes across the canopy. But the sound of pursuit is gone. The sky behind him is empty. He breathes out for the first time in what feels like hours. His right engine coughs again. He coaxes it gently, nursing the power. The lightning holds steady. Barely. He turns west and heads for friendly fields. Smoke trails behind him like a reminder of how close this came to ending. A final hook. He looks back once. A handful of dark specks retreat toward the east, too far now to threaten him. They disappear into the bright haze, leaving him alone with a wounded plane, a pounding heartbeat, and the knowledge that he should not be alive. When he lands, ground crew will count the bullet holes. They will patch the booms. They will run their hands along the wings and shake their heads. They will ask how many he fought. He won't know the exact number, only that it felt like the whole sky. Later, German reports will write a name for what hunted them that morning. Fork-tailed devil. But for Bill, there is only the sound of his engines fading as he crosses into safe airspace, alive after an impossible fight.